Welcome to the Anime Audiophile Podcast. Please like and subscribe for more. Thank you. Shikamaru Hiden, a cloud drifting in the silent dark. Konoha Chapter 6. A group of boys, about 10 years old, passed by, laughing in sunny voices from the bottoms of their stomachs. Behind them, a man in his 30s with a grim look on his face hurried along to somewhere. The children were probably going to the academy, the man to work. In front of an early opening deli tucked in a corner of the road, a number of women who appeared to be housewives were chatting animatedly. The usual morning, the usual scene. Shikamaru walked through the peaceful early village toward the Hokage's office. The main road led from the An main gates, the entryway to the village, straight to the Hokage residence. The road ended square at the residence, behind which was the monument with the faces of the Hokage carved into it. Shikamaru, however, was not going to the Hokage residence. A shinobi who has been given a mission would normally slip out of the village through the An main gates. It wasn't a rule per se, it just naturally happened that way. However, the Umbu were different. Given that the members of the Umbu were frequently assigned top-secret missions, they used the back gates, in a corner of the monument behind the Hokage residence, so that they could leave without being spotted by the people of the village. Shikamaru was headed toward those back gates. His current mission was a secret from the villagers. Kakashi and a few top-level people were the only ones who knew about it, besides Shikamaru himself and Rowan Soku, who he was taking with him. He left it to Kakashi to deal with things after he was gone from the village. The Hokage would tell the villagers he had gone on some alliance business. He would leave without anyone knowing, and he would return the same way. That was the idea. Shikamaru's eyes caught something as he hurried toward the back gates. A yellow-haired man, who also noticed Shikamaru. Hey! It's Shikamaru. Where are you going in such a hurry, huh? The man raced over to Shikamaru, a smile spreading across his lips so childish it was hard to believe they were the same age. 3 lines on either cheek, crystal-clear blue eyes. I could say the same thing to you. What are you up to so early, Naruto? Shikamaru called the man by name. Uzumaki Naruto. The hero who guided the last great war to an end, the son of the 4th Hokage. Not long after he was born, 9 tails had been sealed inside his body, and from the time he was a small boy, he had been viewed with prejudice. Despite this, the boy had had his sights set on becoming Hokage and had never once faltered from that path. And now, Naruto was at the top of the list of candidates to be the Hokage after Kakashi. I couldn't really sleep last night, you know? And I woke up early, so I went and had some ramen at Ichiraku. Just on my way home now. Are they even open this early? They're open 24 hours now, Naruto said, gleefully. That doesn't mean you have to go and eat ramen, of all things, first thing in the morning. I could eat ramen breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's not something to brag about, you know. Half my body's made of ramen, Naruto noted proudly, with a straight face. A sign naturally slipped out of Shikamaru's mouth. You know, you're the hero who ended the Great War now. Think about your health for 5 seconds. The hero thing's the hero thing, ramen is ramen. I don't get that logic at all. Ha ha ha. The figure before him, laughing as he rubbed at his nose, hadn't changed in the slightest from their days at the academy. Naruto lived in a straightforward way, as genuine as ever. His forthrightness had changed the people around him and had changed his own self. Naruto, the black sheep of the village, gradually earned more and more friends via his pure heart, and in the end even saved his close friend Uchiha Sasuke, after that friend had fallen to the depths of darkness and cursed everything in this world. All this was no mean feat, or rather, it was a stunt no one other than Naruto could pull off. Upfront and honest, Naruto had cherished since childhood the dream of one day becoming Hokage. From the time when no one would have anything to do with him, back when he was all attention-seeking mischief, he had insisted and continued to insist that he was going to be Hokage. In the beginning, no one believed him. But now, Everyone in the village thought the next Hokage could be no one other than Naruto. Naruto was the sun. In his body, he housed an inexhaustible flame, a blinding, shining sun. Anyone bathed in that passion opened their heart and became his friend. Shikamaru was certain Naruto would keep pushing ahead, just like he always had. And it would actually happen. Someday, he would become Hokage, and his light would grow and grow, bathed in the confidence of the villagers. But because of its light, the sun did not know the shadows. On more than one occasion along the way, Naruto had fought people held prisoner by the darkness, but it had never been him. Naruto fought with the belief that no matter how far a person might have fallen, their heart would inevitably seek the light. Shikamaru had seen this unwavering faith change any number of enemies. Whatever darkness he found himself in, he never lost his light. Which was why, in the truest sense, Naruto did not know the shadows. There was, however, a darkness in people that could never be eradicated. No leader could ever save everyone. However large the hand that lifted them up, some would always slip through the gaps between the fingers. There were certain things in this world no one could change. But Naruto didn't think so. No matter how impossible the situation might appear, he never gave up on his quest to save everyone. Naruto was that kind of man. And Shikamaru thought that was the man Naruto should be. Genuine and straightforward in the face of any and everything, Naruto should continue to be the sun. When the light is strong, the shadows are also strong. Someone had to bear the burden of those shadows. Shikamaru felt like that was his role. There was really no one more perfect for the job, given that his own specialty was manipulating shadows. Naruto would be the Hokage, and Shikamaru would be Naruto's officer. That was Shikamaru's dream, to always be by Naruto's side, to pick up the shadows slipping through the gaps in Naruto's light. Once his thoughts got to this point, everything came together for him. Why was he so insistent on volunteering to go to the Land of Silence himself? 4. Naruto's sake. If the Land of Silence became any stronger than it already was, Naruto would definitely suffer. The Land of Silence would emerge as Naruto's greatest nemesis. So, best to nip it while it was still in the bud. And since Shikamaru had decided to be responsible for Naruto's shadows, it was only natural that he be the one to nip the bud of that obstacle. "What are you doing?" Naruto asked. "Taking a walk." "So early in the morning?" "I think a walk's way more morning than eating ramen." "True." They both laughed. "You got the day off?" Shikamaru asked, after a while. "As if. Someone somewhere always comes along with some annoying mission. I haven't had a day off in 6 months. I'm out on another mission this afternoon." Someone somewhere was Shikamaru. "I get those missions for your own sake. Quit all your grumbling and just do them. I just want a little time off at least. You're a candidate for the next Hokage. People are watching you. This is the most important time in your life. Have some self-awareness." I know. But, you know." "No buts," Shikamaru said, as if speaking to a sulking child. "Everyone in the village recognizes your ability now. Which is exactly why you need to perform as many missions as you can and make them all think, yeah, it's Naruto or no one. It's been almost 2 years since the Great War. If you think they're going to approve you just because you're the hero who ended the war, think again." Yeah. Naruto pursed his lips before opening his mouth wide in a yawn. "My belly's full now. Maybe I'll go home and sleep a bit again." "Don't oversleep." "Yup." Naruto grinned broadly, eyes narrowing, and walked past Shikamaru. "Hey, Naruto." Shikamaru called over his shoulder. Naruto said, absently, turning around. "You're gonna be Hokage. Don't forget." "I never stopped saying it. That's my ninja path." "You mean our ninja path?" "Yeah." Waving his right arm in broad sweeps, Naruto turned and started walking again. After taking a moment to watch his friend's back move away from him, Shikamaru started walking too. "I'll make you Hokage." Shikamaru promised not to stop saying it either. He was determined. "Infinity's sorry to make you wait," he said to Ro and Soku in front of him. Their mission now was to infiltrate the village and assassinate the target, a job that couldn't be carried out with covert activities alone, so neither of them were wearing their masks. Get intel on the actual situation in the Land of Silence. Find Sai and the members of the Umbu we've lost contact with. But our top priority is to assassinate Django. Both shinobi nodded silently. No one was there to see them off, not even Kakashi. It was just the three of them standing at the deserted rear gate, with its grove of trees at the base of the monument, damp and gloomy even in the daytime. "We're doing an assassination, so examination is unnecessary," Rose said, with excessive emphasis on examination, as he flared the large nostrils in his eagle's beak of a nose. Shikamaru stared, perplexed, completely missing whatever Ro was trying to say. "You bombed so badly, like, it's almost funny," Soku said, almost apologetically, and Ro grew flustered. Sweat sprang up around the corners of his eyes. Soku shifted her gaze from her awkward partner over to Shikamaru. This old guy meant examination like reconnaissance. He basically tried to force a pun between assassination and examination. Sometimes, he gets all weird with wordplay. "You gotta, like, watch out." Shikamaru swallowed the question of what exactly he was supposed to watch out for and cleared his throat. He pulled himself together and spoke to the pair once more. "Run without stopping when you're out the gates. Got it?" "Like, got it," Soku replied, somewhat gleefully, while next to her, Rowan nodded, cheeks blazing red. "Okay, let's go then," Shikamaru said, and yanked open the gate, so small it would just barely allow two people walking abreast to pass through. Konoha Chapter 7. Tamari stared at the dark crimson hair swinging in the wind. He might have been her own little brother, but she could still admit that he was actually getting to be good-looking. She was standing behind him on what the villagers called the wind-reading hill, which offered an unbroken view of Sunagakure. Tamari knew her brother's sole moment of respite came from looking out over the village from this hill where the wind blew endlessly year-round. "You need something, sis," he said, turning just his face toward her. The character love was carved into his smooth, sleek forehead. Gara of the Desert. The people of the village had trembled upon hearing that name until a few years earlier. And now? He was the leader of Sunagakure and an authority within the alliance. He was essential to the world of the ninja, all thanks to Naruto. Having housed a tailed beast within himself from a young age like Naruto, Gara firmly believed that he could only love himself and that everyone else was an enemy. He would have nothing to do with anyone, even his own sister Tamari or his older brother Kankuro. The Gara of that time refused to let them into his heart. He had no mercy even for his sister and brother. If he didn't like someone, he would kill them. He didn't have to express his rage in words. The intense bloodlust radiating from his entire body amply communicated the message. The only one who had ever seriously gone up against him and those ideas of his had been Naruto. Naruto never gave up on Gara. They had both been forced into lives as Jinchuriki, after all. After a deadly battle exceeding any human framework, the two gradually came to respect one another. When the Akatsuki had pulled the tailed beast from her brother's body, Naruto had ungrudgingly shared his own chakra with the dying boy. Gara saw Naruto as a friend. It was then that her brother had started to change. His awkward personality evolved slowly, bit by bit. The way he spoke to and interacted with Tamari and Kankuro changed, his attitude toward the villagers changed, and his feelings toward people from other villages changed too. And then all those people came to accept Gara. She was truly grateful to Naruto, and she thought warmly of his birthplace of Konoha. The people of that village were extremely proud as shinobi, most were unshakable. Abruptly, his face jumped to life in the back of her mind. Clicking her tongue lightly, Tamari felt a stinging pain deep in her chest. "What's the matter, sister?" Oh, Tamari stood next to Gaara. In his worried eyes shone a clear light. His earnestness, a younger brother caring for his big sister, was almost painful to her. Before she knew it, Tamari was averting her eyes. Sunagakure was always dry. It was in the middle of the desert, it never rained. The sharp wind carried more than a few grains of sand. I just got some sand in my eye. That's strange. Not like you at all. I guess so. Those born in Sunagakure were accustomed to dealing with sand and wind. Sand did not hit them in the eye. Getting sand in her eye was just an excuse. Shikamaru, his name suddenly came from Gaara's mouth, and Tamari couldn't stop herself from stiffening up in surprise. Rather than questioning why the name would make his sister freeze up so dramatically, Gaara continued matter-of-factly, "He's been weird lately. Whenever I see him at the Alliance headquarters, I get the feeling that his heart isn't in it. Maybe he's been working a little too hard." "So you think so too?" Gaara nodded. "I couldn't view people in a favorable light until a few years ago, but now I feel like it's the opposite. I'm deeply concerned about everyone's behavior and well-being. I think I'm probably extra sensitive to the workings of other people's minds." Her little brother had always been serious at heart. If he believed in something, he followed through mind, body, and soul. Once he decided to open his heart, he did so unreservedly, with the utmost thoroughness. So it was no surprise that he would have noticed minuscule changes in Shikamaru. "He's hiding something." Tamari agreed. "He thinks more seriously than anyone else about the Alliance and the future of ninja. I don't think he'd do anything to hurt the Alliance." Gaara was talking about the fact that all the hidden villages in the Alliance had an obligation to report any national or international matters or problems that might have an effect on the entire organization. Tamari also saw that Shikamaru was withholding some non-insignificant matter happening within Konoha, something even a man like him was unable to hide completely. She thought it likely that whatever it was going to end up being a problem for all ninja. "Can you think of anything it might be?" Tamari was the one within the Alliance who worked with Shikamaru the most, which was why her brother was asking her. "It's not that I can't, but I can't be sure." Still silent, Gaara nodded. "He's been fairly seriously investigating the missing shinobi and rogue ninja from the Great War." Gaara shifted his gaze from Tamari to look out at the village once more. A crease formed between his eyebrows. He was thinking. Suddenly, the wind got stronger. The sand hitting her face hurt. "Maybe I'll ask Naruto," Gaara muttered. "Will you go for me, sister?" "Sure." Tamari was surprised at how bright her voice sounded. "I could ask Kakashi directly, but he'd no doubt give me the runaround," Gaara continued. "So we'll ask Naruto about Shikamaru first. If it turns out he's facing some unusual or difficult situation, we have to do everything in our power to help. They can use as many of the shinobi of Sunagakure as they need. Shikamaru is a Konoha ninja, right? The era of drawing lines between Suna and Konoha is over. We need him in the Alliance. It's only natural that we help him." "Thanks." "There's nothing for you to thank me for, sis." Tamari bowed her head, and tears fell from her eyes. She raised her face again and smiled at Gaara as she wiped them away. "The sand is really getting in your eyes today, Infinity, come on, hey! Sakura, you listening to me?" Naruto said, elbows resting on the mountain of books piled so high they reached his chest. Supporting his sullen face with both hands, he stared at Sakura's back while she raced around busily along the bookshelves lining one wall. "Haven't seen Sai in more than a month already, and that jerk Shikamaru was seriously ice cold. So come on, you guys hiding something from me or what?" "We're not," she shouted, hackles raised, her words smacking the pout off of Naruto's face. "Don't you have a mission or something?" "I'm done for today." "Well then, just go and eat your ramen at Ichiraku, go home, go to bed." "What?" "But I mean, You haven't been at the Hokage residence in ages, and I came all the way over just to say hi. That is a seriously cold attitude for a former Team 7 member, you know. Naruto pursed his lips and looked at Sakura. She stopped in front of him and glared, hands on hips. I am incredibly busy right now working with Lady Tsunade to systematize medical ninjutsu and build an organization within the Alliance. I just came today to get the materials Lady Tsunade left here when she was Hokage. I don't have time for this. Not to mention I'm doing all this in my private time. I only have time after I'm done with my missions. I'm actually really busy. Which is why I don't have time to listen to your dumb stories. Okay? No sooner were the words out of her mouth than she had turned back to the bookshelves. What's happening with you and Hinata lately anyway? Wouldn't she be way more willing to listen to you than I would? What? You jealous? Racing back over to him, Sakura rapped Naruto on the head. He dropped headfirst to his knees on the stone floor, and Sakura stared down at him, face twisted up in demonic rage. As if I would be jealous. I have Sasuke, you know. Alright, Naruto responded, staying down. His eyes, which had been so completely relaxed until that moment, took on a hard look. Sensing this, Sakura turned serious as well. But, you know, lately, I've had a really bad feeling. The tail beast in you acting up? 9 tails still resided within Naruto, along with the vestiges of the other 8-tailed beasts. Naruto's body was, in a manner of speaking, the Jinchuriki for 10 tails. In the last Great War, after becoming the Jinchuriki for 10 tails, Obito had gained a power rivaling that of the Sage of 6 Paths, the founder of ninjutsu. And in keeping the tailed beast within his body, Naruto also housed a part of the abilities of the Sage of 6 Paths. Sakura knew that Naruto's bad feeling was something different from what a regular person would feel. It's nothing about the tailed beasts. It's just this feeling I have, you know? So then maybe you're just imagining things? That's cold. You're basically giving me 0 credit? Still on the floor, Naruto started sulking again. I know you're worried is all. You can't help it. But Sai and Shikamaru are both amazing ninja. If they really needed your help, they would ask for it, and even if they didn't, Lord Hokage would come and tell you. Way odd. You can't trust Master Kakashi, okay? He's way better than you. Sakura sent an explosive kick flying toward Naruto's backside. His body shot into the air and came up perpendicular against the wall. Dropping into a fighting crouch, Naruto looked at her with something like fear. Quit blabbing at me and go take care of your own work. That's what Sai and Shikamaru want too. Especially Shikamaru. He's working insanely hard in the Alliance and in the village to make you Hokage, you know. You better not let him down. I know all that. That's exactly why I'm worried about them, okay? Sakura sighed. Get it together. You think so highly of these friends of yours. They're not going to do anything stupid and end up dead. Dead? Don't say stuff like that. Knock on wood. Oh, come on. I say one thing, and you come back with something else. Seriously annoying. Sakura mimicked Naruto's own way of speaking. Go home and go to bed. Flying kick. Soaring through the air, Naruto broke the door and exited the room. Watching him go, Sakura smiled and waved a hand. End of chapters 6 and 7. Thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe for lots more.